$29.99.
Get the best deal in mobile. Switch to Spectrum.
You are loved. You are valued. You are resilient. You got this.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
It's 8 o'clock. Breakfast is being served at Ellen's downtown.
Hello, I'm Jordan Hicks, and this is your Spectrum News in 90. A very high volume of extremely dry brush and intense heat. The Texas A&M Forest Service says it responded to 20 new wildfires Thursday. Nearly 3,000 acres burned. Members of the Texas House involved in Ken Paxton's investigation say they've submitted nearly 4,000 pages of exhibits ahead of his trial. The Texas Senate, which will conduct the trial for the suspended Attorney General, published all of those exhibits last night. According to the Tribune, some of these exhibits include interviews with former staffers and advisors, emails and Uber records, and an employment contract. And a federal judge who ordered 3 Southwest Airlines lawyers to attend religious liberty training is delaying the mandate. The judge issued a 30-day stay of penalties against Southwest for disregarding a previous order involving a flight attendant who says she was fired for expressing opposition to abortion.
Well, if you have outdoor plans this weekend, good luck. 109 Saturday, 110 Sunday, so it will be extremely outdoors. These temperatures are dangerous. Monday, not quite as hot, but still hot nonetheless, about 107. We could see increasing clouds and potentially a little bit of a cool down into next week.
Hello, thank you for joining us here on Spectrum News 1. I'm Todd Boatwright. Well, most school districts in Texas are now back in class, and for parents, school safety remains top of mind. In Central Texas, one district has voted to expand its clear backpack policy. JJ Maldonado shows us.
When we talk about clear backpacks, it's important to understand that it is really a deterrent, and it's one of many deterrents that we put in place to ensure safety and security on our campuses.
Alejandro Gongora is the Chief Schools Officer at Manor ISD. As the first day of school quickly approaches, top of mind.
And so one of the things for sure that we've put in place previously have been, for example, backpacks, clear or transparent backpacks. Another thing that we're looking into based on recent legislation is fencing at our campuses. Panic buttons are another part of the law that we are expected to put in place at our campuses as well.
Last year, following the mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas school districts enacted various policies to beef up security. One of the simplest measures was clear backpacks.
So with the clear backpack policy, you have folks that definitely are in agreement with it, and you have those that are not.
Alejandro says some of the feedback he received about the backpacks was that it wasn't durable enough, and families had to replace them mid-year or use tape to repair them. However, he says the backpacks have been successful in keeping drugs out of schools.
In large part, while yes, we've confiscated vape pens found in backpacks, our scholars find other ways to bring them. And so vape pens is probably being the biggest one.
Districts across the state are also implementing clear backpacks. Dallas ISD now requires clear backpacks for grades K through 12. In a statement to Spectrum News 1, quote, "We understand that one measure alone cannot ensure school safety, which is why we have adopted a multi-pronged approach to further protect our schools. Superintendent Elizalde has assigned a department to work alongside our police department to purchase IT security, implement safety measures and protocols at our campuses and district facilities for our students and team members. This next school year, districts will be forced to comply with new state laws regarding school safety, one of which is adding campus resource officers to every school. When it comes to safety, Alejandro says the best preventative measures will be for parents to have open communication with their student."
So conversations with our scholars about what's right versus wrong, conversations regarding the student code of conduct, and the
Another security measure going into effect is a new law requiring all Texas schools to have armed guards on campus. South San Antonio ISD says they'll have an armed officer at each of its 16 campuses during the first couple of weeks of school. Then the district says it'll have officers form clusters of campuses to monitor. In North Texas, one school district is hiring civilians to serve as armed guards on campus. Plano ISD approved the new school marshal program. Recently, applicants must be able to legally carry a firearm, pass a psychological exam, and then complete state training. And staying in North Texas, classes in Keller ISD are back in session, but the district is facing a legal battle over some new policies. Our Emily Pounds shows us.
A story that has been evolving for over months. Keller ISD.
I'm disappointed but not surprised.
Thorne Hawthorne is a Keller ISD alum.
I don't think that future generations of students should have to go through the same things that I did.
She, along with many others, packed out the Keller ISD board meeting late June as the district adopted controversial pronoun and bathroom policies with no opposing votes.
All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
The two policies requiring students to use bathrooms and locker rooms that align with their gender at birth, and stopping teachers and staff from promoting or requiring the use of student pronouns other than their gender at birth. Before the vote, board members heard from dozens of speakers praising and opposing the policies. First to go, Hawthorne.
Keller ISD is considering making it mandatory to stay silent and not speak out against the deliberate misgendering of students, which is in itself a form of hate speech.
Why the group is so obsessed with the sexualization of sex for voting to protect kids and to protect their purity.
Supporters of the approved policies believe these regulations maintain privacy and safety concerns while preserving traditional values and beliefs in the district.
In Genesis 1:27, the Bible says, God created man in his own image, and the image of God he created him, male and female, he created them. Two genders.
On the other hand, opponents argue that the policies perpetuate discrimination and marginalize LGBTQ students.
You're playing with the lives of our kids. I'm angry that you are risking the financial health of our district with ridiculous policies like these.
Going into the school year backing those claims, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a complaint to the U.S. Department of Education, stating the policies are a pattern of attacks against transgender and non-binary students, impacting their access to resources and extracurricular.
And we cannot be erased.
Alongside Keller ISD, the union also filed civil rights complaints against Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts, saying their new choir program policies discriminate against non-binary and transgender students.
And coming up, TxDOT's hoping to ease traffic in North Texas with a new expansion project, but that expansion is coming at a steep cost for some. We'll explain. And later, migrants are having a hard time finding work here in the U.S. We'll tell you why and what they're doing about it. All this and more ahead on Spectrum News 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Carla Leal. Higher education is a stepping stone for better job opportunities, higher pay, and the ability to make an impact in your communities. On the next In Focus Texas, from their higher education experience. You don't want to miss it, so join us Sunday or set your DVR for all the details. I'll see you then.
Stay connected to Spectrum News 1 with the Spectrum News app. Stream your trusted team live on the go or from home. And stay updated on the local news and weather forecasts that matter to you. Spectrum News, your community connection. Weather can be beautiful and at times powerful. Our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability. Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum, keeping you connected.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Texas holds a very special place in both my heart and my family's heart as well. This in 1955, so my dad was my idol. He was my mentor. I spent so much time in that world. I knew I just had to be a part of it. My life's purpose has been about informing, educating, and most importantly, connecting with people. It has been my passion to help people and make a difference in people's lives. I'm Brett Shipp, anchor, Spectrum News 1.
A look outside from Friday afternoon. This was in Pioneer Plaza in downtown Dallas. One might say we are hot and dry till the cows come home. Apologies in advance. It's the weekend. Let's talk a little bit more about that dry situation, though. It has been 33 days as of Friday. Count trace amounts. Now, when it comes to days where we've seen greater than an inch within 24 hours, it has been 114 days since that has happened. We need the rain badly. And here's the bad news. 7-day outlook shows absolutely nothing. And this is despite tropical activity, which could bring some heavier rainfall. And I say could, take this lightly for now. This forecast is going to need some fine tuning. But we have what could be a rainmaker for parts of South and Central Texas. Over this weekend, these rains will kind of make their way into the Gulf of Mexico. And then by about Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, this pushes in a rain chance for places like Austin, San Antonio, and of course our coastal areas. Again, though, needing some fine tuning. We'll have a better idea of what this looks like in the days to come. Nothing over the weekend, that's for sure. Rain chances go up about Tuesday evening of this next week. All too good at all for us. So the most likely scenario, hot and dry. The weekend certainly will be the case. 109 on Saturday, 110 on Sunday. Sunny, dry both days. There is a chance, though, that we could see a little bit of a drop in our temperatures, even if we don't see any rain. So as we look forward into the next few days, very hot over the weekend, but maybe getting just a couple degrees of relief, even if that counts Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. 7-day forecast showing hot and dry conditions.
Well, TxDOT starting a nearly $2 billion road widening project on I-20 in North Texas, but the project is already facing backlash from people now being forced to sell their homes. Our Nick Bradshaw explains.
We're working pretty hard, man. 100, maybe 110 degrees.
But I've had to talk with myself. Well, it makes me feel sad because this wasn't my plan.
These movers helping Miss Overton during the peak of summer heat.
Super hot.
Moving all of her belongings.
So I don't know what God's plan is, but I'm following it.
Nearly 80 years old and now moving into a friend's house after a 3-year fight with the Texas Department of Transportation. Her house up for sale now. That's thanks to eminent domain, expanding I-20 from 6 to 10 lanes. Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen here in a nutshell. They're going to widen I-20, build an access road. That means they're going to have to tear her house down after many years and several precious moments.
Lots of Thanksgivings, a lot of New Year's, a lot of 4th of July, 19th of June.
Here on I-20 between Fort Worth and Forest Hill, TxDOT says well over 400,000. How many years worth of stuff is this?
40 plus years.
So Miss Overton said it was time to give up the fight and sell her home to the state. But she wasn't alone. In fact, 37 businesses and 16 residents have had to sell their properties because of the expansion.
The government want to give you fair market value for your property, At fair market value, it's not going to buy you another property that's comfortable to yours.
But always looking after others.
Slow down, it's hot.
Even the movers get a hug.
You've been so gracious and respectful, and I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime.
All right.
How's it been to help her out?
You know, we do what we can to help people out. You know, it's hard, but, you know, we like to help old people, you know.
Old people.
Well,
Seniors.
Seniors.
Well, I guess the moment out the window, Miss Overton handles it with grace.
I meant to say seniors.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll accept your apology this time.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Well, interest rates may be coming down across Texas, but insurance rates are doing the opposite, especially car insurance. Our Jose Arredondo shows how Texas drivers are dealing with the spike.
Lupito can be found all over San Antonio with his camera on his hip.
It makes you feel good inside that you're documenting San Antonio, you're documenting Cultura, or at least I'm documenting my Cultura.
He's always on the road showing up to community events, capturing these moments. But one thing he didn't see coming was a jump in car insurance rates.
6 months, it went up a little bit more, and then before you know it, gonna be this year in 2023, it pretty much had doubled.
The 10% increase in auto insurance. For many Texans like Lupito, it's been a lot more than that. In the last year, Texas saw a 23% increase, and experts say in about a year, it will increase another 10%.
There's a lot to it.
James Cardenas, an insurance broker with the company My Insurance Group, says higher rates of claims are partly why Texans are seeing that leap.
Recently, more claims have been happening, and with the shortages in the the economy and the labor market and the mechanics used to build the vehicle.
James says rates at different companies are virtually the same. He added that the market is shying away from customers who jump around from one insurer to the next.
Hey, this person looks like they jump around a lot. They'll actually cancel the business and not allow you to continue to be written with them. And that's all to protect the bottom dollar of the insurance company, right?
Fortunately for Lupito, he was with his insurance company for 30 plus years.
Them do it because us regular people were like, it's a lot to take in.
James said bundling home and auto can help lower rates, or simply doing year-long policies so that way the rate can be locked in for 12 months.
There's a lot of companies competing with each other, get the cheaper price, but as long as it's meeting whatever you need, your expectation.
And up next, meet a Texas superhero. We'll show you what it takes to keep his 50-plus costumes in shape and how all that hard work pays off. Keep it here.
Well, surprise, surprise, the weekend, it is going to be hot. Most of us looking at triple digits, near record numbers, but going into next week, that's when things could get interesting. We'll be keeping an eye on the tropics. We could see rain returning as a result of tropical development moving into the Gulf of Mexico and potentially bringing some rain in parts of South and South Central Texas. We'll know more in the days to come. More news and weather coming up after.
Teams, 15 grand. One tournament to decide who knows the most about separating news fact from news fiction. 1, 2, 3, that is correct, Jacob. The Spectrum News Challenge Tournament.
That sounds really awesome, man.
If you think you know the news, then it's time to take the challenge. Spectrum News Challenge, Wednesday nights at 8:30. Available on all your favorite devices.
When you buy Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month, you get a second line for free. So get one line for yourself and a free line for your devoted friend. Or you can get one line for yourself or both lines for yourself. I use one for business and another for business. I do a lot of business. Get one line of unlimited for $29.99 and get a second line free for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
We have one mission, and that is to serve our community.
We have reporters on the ground sharing what's happening within their communities.
It's my responsibility to know the issues here in Texas, but also more
To make sure that you know what's going on in politics and weather and entertainment. You're going to get your local news. You're going to get storytelling about your local community. Your evening on Spectrum News 1. Weeknights starting at 5 p.m. Central.
Welcome back. While the city of Austin fight over Zilker Park.
Computer, and then we ended up with this version, so we kind of kept changing over time and growing.
For the last 2 years, Robin Rather and Tanya Payne joined forces with dozens of other Austinites, from creatives to engineers, frisbee players, and families, all voicing their concern for the Zilker Park Vision Plan and the proposal to have a private nonprofit run the park.
And then as the plan evolved, the specifics of it, the parking garage, the amphitheater, 6 different bridges, the price tag of, almost $200 million, people started to get more and more upset.
Much of it playing out in heated public meetings and town halls. In 2020, Design Workshop, a consulting firm, was paid $600,000 by the city of Austin to come up with a plan to revitalize Zilker Park.
That battle has taken place over 2 years.
Into park advocates for meeting with C3 Presents, the company that produces the Austin City Limits Music Festival and is owned by corporate giant Live Nation, who runs Ticketmaster.
Plaza here. Look at the size of this plaza.
Consultants also saw input from nonprofit stakeholders like the Austin Parks Foundation, which partners with ACL. Many Austinites like Robin say it seemed like special interest groups had the ear of city leaders and were working to sell out the park.
Where people are putting their foot down and saying, and it is emotional, and saying, not here, not that, and not here.
The pushback making its way to City Council, who was set to vote on the plan's future on August 31st.
It's just abundantly clear that our community lacked consensus on the plan. And I think something as important as Zilker Park really does have it divide us.
In early August, following a statement released by Austin City Council members Ryan Alter, Zoe Kadri, and Paige Ellis vowing not to support the plan, Austin Mayor Kirk Watson announced the plan was formally dead and no vote would take place.
A bunch of us met at the Springs and jumped in celebration.
A big victory for those like Robin and Tanya and the dozens of volunteers who spent last year fighting back against what could have been a commercialization of the People's Park.
Well, by day, he's a mild-mannered comic store manager. By night, he is a superhero. But what happens when his costumes really aren't up to snuff? Here's why this Texas man works overtime to bring joy to others.
Greg Burrow puts on the Captain America costume, magic happens.
I mean, if you can bring a smile to somebody's face, I mean, with everything going on today, I mean, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Greg and friends are part of the group Heroes of Texas. They dress up in superhero outfits to bring joy to others. A lot of their visits are to children's hospitals. I don't think the kids don't know a good costume when they see one.
Kids are looking for even the little smallest details, and they'll say, oh, you're not this person because, you know. And so the more accurate you look, the more they can immerse themselves in the fantasy that, Captain America's there or that Batman's there.
And sometimes even Batman's belt needs a little TLC.
Kept on bending on me, so I added elastic with a buckle.
No way it works for an adult man.
Yeah. And that's what Greg is doing today, completely remaking his. Greg owns more than 50 costumes, and each one accurate to a T, even down to the slightest detail.
I got these gloves handmade in Italy from Like Linda on Etsy. She is amazing. She actually does replica spacesuits, NASA spacesuits for people.
And when Greg dresses up, he has lots of places to go. So many events, you got to keep up with costume repairs and redos.
What we're going to do is this is more of a vest. And so we're going to make it to where the white is actually underneath all of this. And this is going to be a separate piece on top of it. That way it'll allow me a lot more mobility and it won't restrict me as much.
Greg's friend Brad West sorts through a sea of patterns to make sure every detail is screen accurate.
So when you draw the pattern out, I had to draw the actual lines from what I could visualize.
Even Captain America's star will be replaced with something made more out of metal. Greg says it's a lot of work, but well worth it. After all, it's for the kids, and the rest of us, kids at heart.
And still ahead, the sport of cricket is gaining ground here in the U.S., and one North Texan could be the future face of the sport. Their story coming up.
A thriving community is an informed community, and being able to play a role in bringing people the news is something that I take very seriously. There's just so many things to love about the state of Texas. Southern hospitality, great food. I love that there are so many different cultures celebrated. I want people to turn us on in the morning and feel like they've got the information they need to go out and conquer their day. I'm Alex Stockwell, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
Spectrum Mobile is giving you one free mobile line when you buy one unlimited line for $29.99.
So I can get 2 lines for the price of 1? That's right, for just $29.99.
It's the best deal in mobile.
But is the service reliable?
Absolutely. Spectrum Mobile is super reliable, coast to coast. Get 1 line for $29.99 and the second line is free.
All in mobile unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months. Call 1-844-882-2999.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are connected, engaged, from the moment we rise. We move. We adjust. We learn. So we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Weather on the Ones, every 10 minutes. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Good evening, Dallas-Fort Worth. Here's your Spectrum News in 90. Encore is conducting a planned power outage tonight in Argyle. Power will go out around 11 for about 5 hours. Encore says it's working to upgrade the equipment to handle the extreme growth in Argyle. Investigators leading the impeachment of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton released nearly 4,000 pages of documents. They detail how the embattled Republican allegedly used multiple cell phones and an alias on a ride-sharing app to conceal an affair and pressured top aides to help a donor. And Tarrant County has seen 12 heat-related deaths since the beginning of May. Over half of those were due to ACs turning off or not working. The average age is 67 years old, with the oldest being 79. It's a reminder to check on elderly relatives and neighbors, as older adults are more susceptible to heat-related illnesses, according to the CDC. Here's your weather on the ones.
Dallas-Fort Worth, your weekend looks scorching hot. Here's an hour-by-hour look at your Saturday. 10 a.m., we're at 93 degrees. Our normal high is about 96. But look at the noon hour. We're already well past that at about 100. In the heat of the day, between about 4 and 5 p.m., we could get up to about 109 degrees with those sunny skies.
Well, a lot of migrants face a Muniz introduces us to one of those migrants still struggling to make ends meet.
When asylum seeker Bernardo and his son crossed the border a year ago, they didn't imagine that the United States would be like this. A reality that no one had told them before.
Todos quieren venir o quieren buscar el sueño americano, pues, pero también es muy difícil hacer para encontrarlo, pues.
Today, you can see Bernardo in the streets of Houston, under a punishing heat, selling cold waters and other drinks. We spoke to him on the phone from McAllen, the same border he crossed after waiting 9 months camping in the square of Reynosa, Mexico. Right. That day they thought the struggle was over, but they couldn't know what was going to happen next. The struggle.
Aguantando todo lo que, el sufrimiento lo que nos pasó allá. Para estar acá y no tenemos nada, ahorita no andamos con papeles todavía, pues, entonces sí entramos legal, pero ni sabemos qué dicen los papeles.
The problem is that this is the only way that Bernardo and many others can actually make money. Bernardo can't legally have a job.
Ahí está bien. Gracias, que Dios me la bendiga, señora. Gracias.
He doesn't even have a work permit yet. Immigration attorney Carlos Garcia Moctezuma from McAllen says this is precisely what all asylum seekers have to go through at first. Asylum cases keep on piling up, and it's taking a long time.
At least in my office, they're taking at least a couple of years. The issue here, though, is that you are not going to get your work permit for at least a year on average. And that's as a result of permits that people are sending in and requesting.
And it's a long and daily growing list. 708,000 pending cases, and only about half have been processed, leaving migrants like Bernardo and his son in another limbo. But unlike the limbo across the border, this one is in our midst. Bernardo doesn't know when he's gonna be able to work legally, but he only knows one thing. He has come this far.
Bueno, valió la pena, pues, porque ya estando aquí, entonces, como le digo, hay que luchar, hay que hacerle frente todo.
His next court hearing will be January 2025.
Meanwhile, Texas Senator John Cornyn is calling on the U.S. Secretary of State to hold Mexico accountable for water releases into the Rio Grande. Now, under the U.S.-Mexico Water Treaty, Mexico is obligated to release 350,000 acre-feet years. But Cornyn says Mexico is about 700,000 acre-feet behind on water deliveries, which is affecting the water source for farmers there in South Texas. Well, some big changes are coming to the nation's organ donation system. A bill is now on President Biden's desk that would open the system up to more nonprofits. Right now, there's just one organization that runs all organ donations in the U.S. The federal government is also modernizing the system to cut down on wait times. Now, a big part of having a successful transplant program is a steady stream of donations. But as our Blessing Iwachuku shows us, many Texans are dealing with a shortage.
9 months for her first kidney donation, but now she needs another one, and time is ticking because of something in her tummy.
You want some toast?
Before she has to dive into this colorful and not so tasty buffet.
On an everyday basis.
The 55-year-old has battled with health issues for more than half of her life.
They said, oh, well, we'll do some blood work and stuff, and that was discovered that I had diabetes at the age of 11.
She later had to get a kidney and pancreas transplant and no longer had diabetes. All was well for 32 years. And then came yet another health hurdle.
When you suffer from kidney disease at the end of stage 4 or 5, that's very critical. And I fall right now on the stage 4 category.
She's had the disease for 5 years, and that critical stage has her once again waiting by the phone in anticipation of her second life-saving call.
Okay, no, we didn't miss any phone calls.
A call that hasn't come for a year and a half.
I've only had the one nearly successful phone call, but I think, no, he wasn't compatible to me.
There's a high demand here, obviously because of our demographics. It's that much more helpful when we have more people of the same demographic who donate, because you tend to have better results.
Joseph is the leader of the Texas Organ Sharing Alliance. He says in their service area, the largest minority group representing Central and South Texas are Hispanics. TOSA reps say there have been gradual improvements in registry rates amongst Hispanic referrals. However, the percentage is down slightly from 24% in 2022 to 22% in 2023. But Joseph says the strategies and adjustments the group has made targeting this demographic have led to some improvements.
We're seeing the biggest increases with the younger population.
As Anna continues to play the waiting game, she's also been working to get the word out for TOSA for nearly 2 decades.
15 years ago, they really didn't have a lot of volunteers. My other big thing is to educate the Hispanic community on organ donation.
And through that education, she's hoping someone in her community can one day be her perfect match. And hopefully leads to someone saving your life.
Yes, exactly.
And finally, end this waiting game.
And according to the Health Resources and Services Administration, 17 people die every day waiting for an organ transplant. Last year, more than 62,000 Americans were added to the transplant wait list, with 600 of those here in Texas. It's been one of Austin's most iconic staples since the late 40s. Coming up, we'll take a look at why the future of Peter Pan mini golf is hanging in the balance.
I am most satisfied when I'm making a difference. I get to go to work every day and communicate with fellow Texans who understand that quality of life matters and the choices we make matter. And if they can trust me to share important information with them, then I'm a happy camper.
I'm Dr. Nicole Cross, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
From coast to coast, you've seen us around. We live and work in the communities we serve. Our commitment runs deep. We're invested here, creating good jobs and supporting small businesses, many of which we're proud to call customers. You count on us to keep you connected to what matters most. And we're committed to delivering you the best internet, TV, and mobile service. We're Spectrum, connecting the places we all call home.
I saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News 1, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm, Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
A look outside from Friday afternoon. This was in Pioneer Plaza in downtown Dallas. One might say we are hot and dry till the cows come home. Apologies in advance. It's the weekend. Let's talk a little bit more about that dry situation, though. It has been 33 days as of Friday, August 18th, since we have seen any rainfall. Note that this does not count trace amounts. Now, when it comes to days where we've seen greater than an inch within 24 hours, it has been 114 days since that has happened. We need the rain badly. And here's the bad news. 7-day outlook shows absolutely nothing. And this is despite tropical activity, which could bring some heavier rainfall. And I say could. Take this lightly for now. This forecast is going to need some fun. What could be a rainmaker for parts of South and Central Texas. Over this weekend, these rains will kind of make their way into the Gulf of Mexico. And then by about Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, this pushes in a rain chance for places like Austin, San Antonio, and of course our coastal areas. Again, though, needing some fine-tuning. We'll have a better idea of what this looks like in the days to come. Nothing over the weekend, that's for sure. Rain chances go up about Tuesday evening of this next week. But even then, for us in DFW, these rain chances just don't look all too good at all for us. So the most likely scenario, hot and dry. The weekend certainly will be the case. 109 on Saturday, 110 on Sunday. Sunny, dry both days. There is a chance, though, that we could see a little bit of a drop in our temperatures, even if we don't see any rain. So as we look forward into the next few days, very hot over the weekend, but maybe getting just a couple degrees of relief even of next week. 7-day forecast showing hot and dry conditions.
For people who live in the capital city, there's a good chance they've putted the day away at Peter Pan Mini Golf. And while this Austin staple has been a fixture in the community for some time, its future is up in the air. Here's Dylan Scott with more.
Everybody's got a story. We've hosted weddings and proposals and first dates.
For Austinite and co-owner Margaret Dismukes-Masad, there's only one true Never Never Land in the capital city.
We never grow up, and that's what we love. We're keeping it weird, and we never grow up.
This year marks 75 for Peter Pan Mini Golf, a family-owned institution since 1948. And while they've tried to maintain memory lane,
the only thing we've modernized is adding a skateboard to the bunny, the shoe into a Converse.
Austin's growth continues to challenge legacy businesses.
Good, you did great. We'd love to see it just continue. That is our desire. We have every intention of renewing our lease.
However, as we know in the game of golf, some putts are easier than others. This highly valued land sits on a trust previously overseen by the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, with the proceeds going to benefit orphans across the state.
We've had a great relationship for many years with the owners of the land.
In a statement to Spectrum News 1 Texas, the TJJD says a new trustee will be appointed by the Attorney General's office, and that it will be up to that person or persons to determine the future of the property when the lease expires next March.
We recognize that this is a pressing issue facing Austin today.
Lindsay Darrington, executive director, 10 years, the city could lose several key long-standing businesses if citizens don't support these staples and ask policymakers to do the same.
We need to fight for the places we love and make sure that as we grow, they're part of our future. Like, that should not be something that we can't figure out.
So this is our tallest by far.
As the pixie dust begins to settle, Dismukes-Masad and her husband Julio await word on a new trustee. In the meantime, they're spreading a fan-created petition and looking into local and state level historical designations as well.
We have every intention of continuing on, and we'll see you in another 75 years. Hopefully we'll still be here.
Meanwhile, another kind of sport is picking up popularity across the country. That's cricket. Adam Rosso introduces us to a Texan making waves as a rising sports star.
He's soaking up information, courtesy of the world's best, in his own backyard.
When I moved here, I didn't think that even minor league or major league was possible.
And now 8 years later, Ali Sheikh is part of Major League Cricket in the United States.
No!
And his goal is becoming the face of the sport here.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be? Obviously, everyone wants to strive for the best that they can be. So I feel like, yeah, I would want to be that guy.
Sheikh grew up in Qatar watching cricket on TV with his dad.
And then I kind of developed a lot of interest. Just like any time on the field was a great time.
He kept at it after his family moved to Dallas, eventually earning a spot on the Team USA under-19 squad. But getting drafted into the pros did come as a surprise.
Hearing my name get called and realize, oh my God, it's actually happening.
It also presented a dilemma because Sheikh was in the middle of his junior year at UT Dallas.
So my parents always wanted me to take a gap year just to focus on cricket right now. But I thought that since I only have 1 or 2 years left of college, I might as well finish it, get my degree, and play cricket as well. Is that better?
It's an opportunity, that, for cricket, it doesn't come that oftenly. So, whenever it is, you grab it, and then, your hard work pays off, and that's a good feeling.
Especially for his dad, who was in the crowd for his son's first professional match. And a moment that could mark the start of something big for Ali Sheikh and cricket in America.
To see the development is just insane. So I feel like cricket's only going to go upwards and onwards from here.
And up next, one foundation is going the extra mile.
Well, surprise, surprise, the weekend, it is going to be hot. Most of us looking at triple digits, near record numbers, but going into next week, that's when things could get interesting. We'll be keeping an eye on the tropics. We could see rain returning as a result of tropical development moving into the Gulf of Mexico and potentially bringing some rain to our Texas coast and even parts of South and South Central Texas. We'll know more in the days to come. More news and weather coming up after.
The strength of Texas is in its many voices and unique perspectives. Every Sunday, join host Carla Leal on In Focus Texas. And more. Balanced and respectful discussion of the serious matters impacting Texas from experts across the state.
We take a closer look at the issues in your community.
In Focus Texas, Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Spectrum News 1. Available on all your favorite devices.
So you're telling me this one-size-fits-all network upgrade is the best you guys can do?
Better than that. It's the only thing we do.
That's how we know it's right for you.
Aye.
Is that what I said?
No, I think you were okay. I think that's a yes.
We get it. Ask for the technology you need, and they call you unreasonable. We call you something else, our kind of client. So go ahead, be unreasonable.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. There all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
Little everyday conversations about the dangers of underage drinking can make a big difference in a child's life.
Today at Zilker Park, where folks from across the state of Texas are coming together for this.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to our communities around the clock, delivering stories that inspire and news that matters in your community. Our journalists are dedicated to bringing you trusted, balanced, local news every day. And now, Spectrum Internet-only customers, you can watch Spectrum News 1 on your TV, connecting you to your community 24/7. Spectrum News, now streaming, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
In Uvalde, students are going into their second school year since that mass shooting at Robb Elementary. Our Amber Hughes shows us the intense training the district's new police officers are going through to stop another tragedy from happening.
Because once you go into an active situation, each officer has a role.
Shooter in the building, threat, shooter, active shooter.
This is the new look Uvalde CISD Police Department.
Moving.
It's hard to say that there's been a more criticized and scrutinized police department in the United States than the Uvalde Independent School District.
Uvalde super referring to the delayed response at Robb Elementary last year, when 21 people died waiting more than an hour for officers to respond.
We're trying to look at all the scenarios and train our force in as many possible situations as we could.
There are 8 new officers on the force, some experienced, some rookies, all new to the school district.
I have 100% confidence that this force would not hesitate 1 second to save lives.
Mr. Patterson says he's got faith in the revamped department because they've put in hours of intense training and invested in equipment upgrades.
It doesn't have to be an active shooter that triggers a lot of these safety and protocols and emergency situations that we've been working through.
It hasn't been determined which campuses these officers will serve, but next school year the presence of nearly 40 DPS officers will be cut in half.
Now that our force is back in place, they'll just help reinforce.
Patterson hopes the community sees safety is the district's priority.
Rebuild trust. We want our community to feel safe when they come to our schools.
Now, in the wake of the Uvalde school shooting, a Texas family made a big donation to help those affected. Philanthropists Glenn Verrett and Kim Rapier are the creators of Kim's Angel Foundation and donated $2 million to the Uvalde community. And here with us today is Yolanda Valenzuela, the Kim's Angels Foundation's Executive Director. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about the foundation and its mission.
Kim's Angels Foundation was created by Kim Rapier about 8 years ago in an effort to bless families, bless the community, and bless nonprofits from all different causes for their causes.
And tell us a little bit more about that big donation to Uvalde and the community. Where'd the money go and why'd they decide to do that?
Right. The tragedy occurred a little over 2 years ago, or a little over a year ago, excuse me. And immediately, Kim called and said, we have to do a donation. We have to make an impact on those families. Those are hurting families. And so she decided instantly that she wanted to donate $2 million to the community. What ended up happening is we found out right away that so many of the children were lost and the parents weren't going to be able to return to work. It was just a horrific situation and they needed help immediately. There were a lot of funding going on, GoFundMe and the bank and the did funding right away because they're just one paycheck away from being late on something. So what Kim decided to do is to give each of those families that lost a loved one and then 3 other individuals that spent 30 days in the hospital a $40,000 check. So we flew over there and met the families. We didn't do a big presentation or have them come up. We just had them sign for the check and they were literally able to walk out the door and go across the street to the bank, and the funds were available right then and there.
Yeah, and really quickly too, how do you figure out who to donate to? I mean, the list is huge.
The list is huge, and we immediately thought we're going to give to the families that lost a loved one, but you know, even further, we were going to give to the custodial parent, the parent that was raising the child, and because we weren't going to give $20,000 and $20,000 to somebody living not with a child, and then we had situations also where the grandparent was raising the child for the last 10 years or 5 years or whatever, and we were going to give the grandma the money, you know, or something like that. Yeah, we had very specific rules that we had in our own, you know, internal, and so we also were very in tune with the other funders in Uvalde and keeping a list that was composed of everybody that received money from any of us.
Yes.
So in the event that somebody says they didn't get money or whatever,
Right.
we had the list saying, you know, Kim's Angels gave you money and.
Okay. Angels always working.
There
Thank
you go.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us.
Yeah.
And thank you for being with us here on Spectrum News 1.
The decisions elected officials make really have an impact on all of us. A big part of what we do on Capitol Tonight is break down the issues so that they're easily understood. We want to bring you a better understanding of local issues and the local impact of national context for Texans in a balanced and informative way. Capitol Tonight, weeknights at 7 on Spectrum News 1.
They say the best things in life are free.
That's why Spectrum Mobile is giving you one free mobile line when you buy one unlimited line for $29.99.
Hey, so I can get 2 lines for the price of 1? That's right, for just $29.99.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months with no contracts. Call 1-844-537-2999. Visit spectrum.com/getconnected or Spectrum Store today.
It's the best deal in mobile.
Free mobile sounds good, but is the service reliable?
Absolutely. Spectrum Mobile is super reliable, coast to coast.
Okay, but what's the catch?
Is it contracts?
No contracts, no catch.
Get one line for $29.99 and the second line is free.